Oh man.
So I found Ignorant Shit on YouTube Music
You
featuring
did?
Beanie Sigel.
Just
Sigel. I don't know how to
no,
say that.
no Siegel. Like
Siegel? Dude, okay, why does the I make an E sound? Explain that to me.
I can't explain the English language. Period. We got so many letters that don't make any sense.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah.
Beanie Siegel. Okay. I should know that.
Welcome to
After Playlist,
the Music Discovery and Reaction Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Terrio.
And I'm Brennan Lee.
Have you ever been jamming to a song because the beat is fire and then you realize they're actually talking about some real shit in the lyrics? That's what we're talking about today. But first,
as always, we got some disclaimers. As much as we love music and talking about it, we do got to get some of this stuff out of the way first. First and foremost, as always, we respect everyone's opinion, regardless of how wrong and terrible it may be. Number two, we're just talking about the music. If an artist gets canceled before, after, or during the discussion, that doesn't mean we're advocating for whatever they got canceled for, one way or the other. And some of the songs may contain explicit language. Actually, I'll go and say several of the songs do contain explicit language today, so have that in mind. With sensitive subject matters, we might let a few slip, so listening discretion is advised.
Lastly, you can check the show notes for song links or as well as additional information about the artists featured on today's episode, and as well as direct links to the playlist for today's episode, which is available on both YouTube Music, and on Spotify.
Yes, we are on Spotify.
Yep. Not all the playlists will be on Spotify, but if I can make it work, we're gonna put it on Spotify for you.
As much as we can, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that being said, let's get right into it, right?
So, in today's episode, we're featuring upbeat songs that have a deep message or sometimes a dark message or maybe a hidden message to it. But you're so busy jamming to the beat that you really don't, it may not catch you at first. But this is a playlist for people like me who are beat first and then lyrics afterwards. And then a couple of these songs on this playlist, for sure, I'm just jamming to it. Even when preparing for this episode this week, there's been a couple of times I caught myself like, I'm listening to the track. I'm just like, oh yeah.
I caught myself doing that a lot, actually. Especially because pretty much all of your picks I had not heard before. Mm-hmm. So and they're really good. Just like even outside of this topic, they're just good songs in my opinion. So I was definitely jamming along, and then one of those lines in the song that kind of keys you into what they're really talking about would come on them, and it would just like you crash back down to earth like, oh yeah, this is, why am I smiling, bopping my head to this song?
Right?
Whenever you're talking about terrible stuff.
100%. It's just like these songs, like again, you're jamming and bobbing your head, and then you're just like, yeah, I need to rethink my life or think about somebody else's life, or I need to go help somebody. There's somebody in danger right now that I don't know. I mean, it's just like, it's a whole mind fuck. So we're going to kind of flip it up a little bit. So we're not going to just go in order of the playlist like we have done in episodes past. So I'm going to toss a question to you first, Brandon. What song on this playlist you personally found the most relatable?
So the one I felt I related to just straight off the bat the most, and even more so once I actually looked up the lyrics, was one of your picks, and it was "In Another Time" by Disturbed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's talking about in the song about how just like all of the issues, I guess, and negative aspects that come about with our always online culture
100%.
Nowadays, and how in a different time, and in my mind, as both of us are kind of, we're right there on that generation gap where like a good chunk of our early years was before that point, and then obviously since then we've been in the world we're in. But like I definitely have clear foundational memories of living in a world before everyone was always connected and what that was like, and just definitely as someone who is not at all really Like, you know, some people, they say terminally online. Like I'm just so not, I'm like so opposite end of the spectrum from that like that just really connected with me. I felt like was just like, man, yeah, it's just people are just living their entire lives based around these fake interactions they're having online with different people. And it's just like in a different time, things were just, you know, maybe not always better or always worse, but just different and some aspects better and some aspects worse. Yeah, that was definitely the one that just like connected to me, that I connected to the most, just because again, like of how being online averse I am nowadays in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, you know, especially given the nature of, you know, what we're doing now, it's a little bit different, I would say, doing a podcast because, you know, we're online, but it's not like online kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first heard that song, I related to that one so hardcore, especially when a line he said, why are we not living life instead of watching other people's lives go by?
Yes, that was the line that really did it for me too.
Yeah. So when I caught that one, that was when I listened to the album, and that was one of the songs from that album that really just like, I don't remember when that album came out, but it was like, it's definitely
I'm looking it up right now, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely a fairly recent one, maybe like a couple years
2018.
ago. 2018, yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, damn, either I'm getting old or just the way people think the stuff that they see online is real. And that goes for social media as well as reality entertainment and all these other different things. So much so that these people will talk about celebrities and other things as if they know these people personally.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll have that as a water cooler conversation. We'll talk about, well, you heard such and such broke up with this person, that person. I don't know who these people are, nor do I care.
That's the big thing for me, man. It's like, I don't care. In a lot of ways, it's like borderline, for some people, it's borderline mental illness, just like how, like, I don't know, out of touch with actual reality they can get from that. And like, it's not even like necessarily well, I don't know. I was going to say it's not necessarily a harmful thing, but honestly, I think in a lot of ways it is.
It is. I mean, like when you're not focused on creating real, authentic, like IRL relationships instead of these parasocial relationships, to where, like, again, you're online and you're talking to these celebrities or these people who are so far away, and you're having this one-sided conversation with them, and because they share because they share their lives with you, you feel like you know them, but in actual reality, you don't, because they're only showing you what they want you to know. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah, that one definitely that one stuck a core with me. So that's a good pick on that one.
Yeah, that was a good pick for you, or by you, I should say, for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That was one of the ones I would love whenever I was like listening. That was one of the ones I was just like, oh, of course it's Disturbed, but
yeah,
I would be screaming along to it. And another time. It's a good song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say, just that song in particular, I've not listened to Disturbed, man, since I was like in high school, like a decade and more ago now. I need to go back and listen to them. I feel like I say that so much about different artists and groups on this podcast, but I've not listened to them in like a decade, and obviously they have newer music than that out. So.
Oh yeah. I think they have. I think they had an album, maybe one or two albums after this one that came out, and they still going strong, man. Definitely,
they're all stand up dudes. Like you watch them in interviews and like how they interact with fans and stuff. They're like, to be for a while they were kind of the face of like heavy rock. I feel like for a lot of people, to still be like pretty stand up dudes, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's just I always like to give a nod to that. Just like the industry hasn't completely corrupted them, you know.
Exactly. Not completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So what song do you feel like you related to?
Okay. So I'm gonna do two. Only reason why I'm doing two because the topics are very similar. And it's Migraine by 21 Pilots and Problems with Ludacris. It's just mental health is a real thing, people. And just some of the things that go on in my head, not putting all my business out there, but man, mental health is definitely a real thing. So it's just like some days are better than others, and yeah. When I heard that one, just like when he basically said like some days, or I'd rather I'd rather not have this headache in my head. I'd rather not have this migraine. I'd rather have an alternative. I would say what the alternative is, but you get what I'm saying. And I'm just like, yep. And the same thing with Ludacris. Sometimes I wish my problems would go away.
Which I love the chorus on that. Yeah.
CeeLo killed it.
He did. He really did.
Yeah.
I will say just real quick that I should have looked this up just to verify it, but I feel like it's been several years since I like read up on all this. But I think the lead singer for 21 Pilots has schizophrenia.
Okay.
Or something similar, something along those lines. So yeah, this song Migraine is very much so about his battle with that in particular, and the suicidal thoughts and the depression that comes from that. And just, yeah, it's not necessarily a song I like personally relate to on like a super personal level, but I think a lot of people today can definitely relate to it on some level. Just everyone's going through some kind of mental struggle at some point in their lives, you know?
Absolutely. And an honorable mention to 21 Pilots has another song called Stressed Out that I have in my rotation.
I almost picked that one instead. They have a lot of songs that really fit this topic.
Exactly.
Of you know, deeper meaning, but poppy, happy-go-lucky sounds.
Mm-hmm.
This was Migraine just happened to be the first one that kind of popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was like,
I never heard Migraine. So I mean, I knew about Stressed Out, but I never heard Migraine. And then I listened to that, and I was just like, okay. And I'm listening to the thing, and I'm like, okay. And this is one of the ones that we were talking about in the beginning. I was like, okay, this beat going pretty good, okay. And I listen to the lyrics. I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, oh, okay, yep, feeling things.
It does have, because there's like a couple lines where he talks about how he thinks he's going to be okay because of, and a large part, and because of music, the music that he's making or whatever is a lot of his like therapy getting it out. So it does have, you know, it's not completely bleak. And
absolutely
hopeless, but it definitely, I mean, just anytime those are just heavy subject matters to tackle and to come at it from such a personal, vulnerable spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, coupled with just because it is a bop. Music wise.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then and switching back to the Ludacris song, like one of the lines in that song that really keeps me that really resonates with me personally when he said, "The only thing that's keeping me alive is my music."
Yeah,
and just me being such a music person throughout, inside out. I'm just like, yep, that's the only thing that's keeping me from losing it is just music in general. So I'm just like, yeah, obviously I can relate to the millionaire status and the people asking you for money and all that stuff. I can't relate to that level of it, but just you know, wanting the problems to go away, and you know, you're trying to be successful, you're trying to be a leader, but people second guessing you all the time, and it's just, it's a whole thing. So I'm like, yeah, it's a lot.
Just the problems again. I'm gonna probably say it a couple more times, but literally every song on here I feel like is a banger.
Oh yeah, no doubt. What song on this playlist do you feel was the most impactful? Meaning, obviously, you know, we can't all relate to all the different subject matters in these songs, but upon hearing it, what song really like kind of stuck with you and made you be like, oh wow, that's a intense subject matter?
So I'm gonna go with another one of your picks, I think. Giving In.
Okay.
By Adema.
Okay.
Because this was another one I really should have like probably pulled up like the Genius lyrics just to verify. But from what I can tell, it's a song about giving in to your addiction, right? In a moment, like, and having people around you kind of watch that happen.
Yeah.
I do kind of relate to this one just because I've had people close to me go with addiction or deal with addiction rather. But just because this was one that kind of took, I think, a couple listens before I like really kind of keyed into the lyrics on what he was giving into, and like kind of piece that together. And once it hit me, this was, out of all these songs, was definitely one I was like, oh, that's what it's about. It's very well done. It's another good heavy rock song. I was also screaming along to this one.
Hell yeah.
Even before really realizing what it was about. Yeah. Even after too, but it was definitely one of those ones where I'd be screaming along to it. I'd be like, But yeah, just Definitely just because I think mostly just because it took several times and then I had that like huge light bulb moment.
Yeah, that was me. When I first had this song in my rotation, I don't remember how or where I encountered this song. I think it was like around the time I borrowed somebody's iPod, and I was like, "Hey, let me see what music you got," and put it on my computer. And I came across the song, and it took me years. I just like I like that kind of grungy metal when I was kind of getting into rock. Like that's the level of rock I like. Um, and then once I started keying into the lyrics a little bit more, I was like, "Ooh, this sucks." And then on top of that, I personally had a friend that was struggling with an addiction issue at the time, and I was just like, "Oh, wow, okay, yeah, this is." It was hitting too close to home at that point. I said, not me, but like again, somebody I know who had to go to rehab and all these kind of different things. I was like, yeah, to kind of put your mind in their perspective, and then with me knowing more about the struggles from what they were telling me, and helping them go through different classes and all that stuff, trying to be a support system.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing that song, I was like, oh yeah, so this is probably what they're going through when they're battling those kind of things. So let me
What about
see.
you? Which one had the most impact on you? Which also I just want to say real quick that I just Googled it because this was actually kicking around in my brain like this whole last week. But the name, like their band name, is Adema.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a medical term or a misspelled medical term, I believe.
Okay.
Edema, EDMA, or EDEMA, which is the medical term for swelling caused by fluid trapped in the body's tissues.
Huh.
I don't know. It might not. It might. They might have been going for something completely different, but
I mean, it's a weird coincidence, so we're gonna roll with it. If we're wrong, let us know in the comments.
yeah.
So the one that was impactful for me was "Bag Lady" by Erykah Badu. Just when that song first came out, I was I was like, why are they sampling Dr. Dre "Explosive"? That's the I was so confused. And then at first I was like, this song is Steve. What's she talking about a bag lady? Like I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics. I just heard that.
So she sampled Dr. Dre, not the other way around.
Yeah, this came out after that, but I'm not even sure if the Dr. Dre version wasn't original. I just know I heard the first time I heard it was on Chronic 2001 with Dr. Dre, Explosive. And then I heard that same sample on Erykah Badu's song, and I was just like, okay, it's too soon to be sampling that already. So that was my logic in it. Didn't make any sense. It's completely inaccurate, but whatever. That's how I felt at the time, and I kind of just dismissed the song. But then later in life, actually paying attention to the lyrics and listening to it, there's a lot of bag ladies out there. There's a lot of bag dudes out there too.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact being that, like, I like the whole metaphor of the song is like you hanging on to too much shit. Like you trying to, move forward and you can't move because you carrying all the shit with you. You gotta let that shit go. And having recently dealt with a bag lady, it definitely definitely resonated at home. And I'm just like, yeah, you holding on to too much stuff, girl. You gotta
Yeah,
let that go.
and I really like the end where she has the part where it's like 10, 12 different types of bag lady.
Yeah, yeah. Ziploc bag lady, backpack lady,
nickel bag lady, like
yep. The booty bag lady.
That's just definitely goes, hand in hand with what you were just saying, with the message of it doesn't matter like where you are in life or what you've got. It only hurts you to like really hold on to that baggage and let it weigh you down, keep you from being able to move forward into bigger and better things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I love the harmonies with it. I love the production with it.
Of course, Erykah Badu is great. When
Of
is she
course,
not?
of course, and she has the wonderful talent of taking something simplistic and making it full.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there wasn't really like a lot of production required in this song, and I just love the fact being like the claps and even the tamarines were like offbeat because it kind of felt like you kind of were having a jam session essentially,
Yeah.
which she's very known for doing that as well as freestyle singing and stuff. So I'm not sure if this was like one of her freestyle songs originally or not, but definitely definitely a bop for sure. And every time it came on, I listened to it at least multiple times in a row because it's just a good feeling. And then again, the music, you sway it with it, and then you're just like, Yeah. Probably gotta let some stuff go.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, I've been carrying around this Ziploc bag for the longest time. You throw the shit in the trash.
Well, before we go on, though, I do want to ask: was there any, or out of all of these songs on the playlist, which song do you feel like maybe took you the longest to kind of realize the disconnect between the happy-go-lucky, upbeat melodies and then the deeper, darker lyrics? Was there one song in particular that you were just like, which, like, kind of how I had the light bulb moment with Giving In, where it's like you've been hearing this song for a while, and then it finally, oh, that's what it's about.
Oh yeah, 100%. False to the people, pumped up kicks. What the fuck? Like, I've heard that song so many times, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, right. I'm just like, hearing a little the beat and everything, jamming to it, and then again this week I adamantly listened to the lyrics, and I was just like, ooh, they talking about damn school shootings.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
and
like,
that song came out. That was like
crazy.
the first song I thought of for this topic, just because like I had that light bulb moment, because I think this came out in like, I was either middle school or early high school when it came out. And it was definitely one of those songs where it got super popular for a while. You heard it on the radio, heard it all over the place. I would always be, I had it on like my old iPod or whatever that I had. For the longest time, I just assumed it was about, like, maybe in my mind, right? I thought it was like about a poor kid who was like envious of like a rich kid's like pumped up kicks or nicer shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And like he was going to like steal them.
Yeah.
But no. He's literally finding his dad's 6-shooter and then coming into school and killing people for them.
Yeah. And that was like a major mindfuck when that happened. I was like, oh, ooh, I can never listen to the song the same again. And this is one of the songs this week that was kind of like, ooh, like I like it, the production wise, but man, considering this song came out in 2011, at the time of recording it's 2023, the subject matter of this song has not decreased. It has only increased. And I'm just sadly, and I'm just like, man, like it's too real. So yeah. So that one, that was one of the ones that really, again, fortunately, I haven't had to endure that, nor have any of my family or friends close by had to endure that. I was like from the school level,
Right?
But
same here so far.
Yeah, so far, but yeah, just the epitome of up tempo and talking about a deeper, dark subject. And not really catching it because you're too busy on the dance floor dancing, and then you tune in at the wrong part or the right part technically, and then you're just like, oh, yeah. Let me go. I'm gonna have a seat. I'm gonna have several seats right now. Figure my life out.
Yeah, I think that was also, if I had to pick one, that would be my pick as well. Just like for what I just talked about it, because it was several years of it being like, oh, that's that popular song about rich kids' shoes. Before I like finally realized sometime in high school, like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah. But you know what? Big on them for being daring to put that out as a single.
Yeah.
So let's get to the rest of the playlist. For this part, I just want to kind of just run down it. The songs we haven't covered. Okay. So the first one remaining on the playlist that we haven't discussed already is "Do You Know Where Your Children Are" by Michael Jackson.
This was definitely one of the ones I was like, because, man, I was like bopping along to it. Even after I knew, like, I would be like, cringing to myself, but I'm still bopping along to it because it's Michael Jackson, man. Whenever he's singing about children going missing and young ladies running away from home to escape abuse and falling into more abuse. But then in the middle of all of these, so it's like, what are we doing here, Michael? Why?
Yeah, it's so many layers. This song... So some context on this song. So this is definitely a posthumous album, music, whatever. So I don't know when the original version of the song was recorded, but the version that's on this playlist is the one that was produced by Timbaland, because Timbaland did the Escape album, majority of the production of it. So this is his retake or reimagining of that unreleased song that he had in his archives.
This had to have been written, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like it had to have been written in like late 80s, early 90s when like the the like missing people on milk cartons was like at its height. Whatever, because I know that wasn't like a super long period. Whatever stretch of time that was, I feel like in my gut that's when this song was at least written.
Oh yeah, I can see
with
that.
all that in mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see that. But this is definitely one of the songs where like the beat is like slapping, and then you listen to the lyrics, and you're just like, I don't know how to feel about this because I kind of want to dance, but also I'm not trying to promote sex trafficking and a child being abused, and also wondering where my kids are. So it's just like, it's yeah. So this was the first song for me to put on this playlist. I was just like, this is the one that really, my mind is like so conflicted because the music is telling you to do one thing and then the subject matter of the song is telling you to do another. Is yeah. I've always felt some kind of way about this song every time it comes on.
It's interesting. I didn't realize this was a Michael Jackson song I was not familiar with because as we've talked both on and off air, I'm not super familiar with a lot of like, if they're not like a big hit of Michael Jackson, I probably don't know it very well. But it's interesting that this was like a posthumous release. Like, I wonder if there was if that was intentional on like whenever he was still alive, if he intentionally chose not to release it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, definitely considering the subject matter and some of the other songs he had, he was probably like, maybe this is not. I don't know. I guess like from an artistic perspective, I can only speak for myself on this one. Sometimes when you're feeling some kind of emotion, sometimes it's good to go ahead and write it out and go ahead and just put it out, but not necessarily not put it out, but get it out of your system.
Right.
And then
it's not necessarily for the world to see. It's just, it could be I totally get that.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this probably what happened with this particular song. And then, his estate and the record labels and all this stuff started combing through whatever files they had. And it was like, hey, we probably could turn this into something.
Right.
And, but the good thing about this album, the Escape album, it features both versions. So it has the playlist, the track list with all the remakes, with Timbaland. I think even Rodney Jerkins did a song on there too. Justin Timberlake appeared on this album too, so that's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Which it was actually a decent duet, even though they obviously wasn't in the same room or in the same plane of existence. But it actually sounded like they were in the studio together, so it was a pretty good production. But yeah, so they have the Timbaland remakes, the new versions of the song, and then they'll have the originals as well. And a lot of the reimaginings kind of take elements from the original, but obviously, Timbaland put his own thing onto it. And then some of them were complete, just 180 of the original. So I like when they do that. Like, if you're going to do a posthumous album, include both versions of it, so that way people can hear what the artist's true intention was versus, the reimagining. Especially like Tupac. Like, Tupac has so many different songs with the same lyrics, but like 18 different versions of it. So, and you like which way did he really want this song to come out to be? So, so I thought that was pretty cool. Moving on down the list, we already discussed problems with Ludacris.
Slow Your Roll
with Chester Bennington.
Chester Bennington by Young Buck. I really love the message of this song, bro.
Yeah.
It was just, it's now that I'm like getting, like I'm finally starting to get to that age where like I feel like an adult. I can look at a teenager and be like, you kids, like I can have that mentality sometimes. I definitely see like, or I'm able to get the perspective of like, man, so many people whenever you're like young and fearless and you feel invincible and you get all those hormones driving you to do crazy stuff. It's just smart and good for you to just take a breath, slow your roll. Don't be acting all crazy off the jump without thinking things through. Because like there are very real consequences that you've not experienced a lot of times in life that can at least happen to you or will happen to you.
Yeah. I feel you on that one, bro. It's definitely one of those songs that it gives me chills every time I listen to this song. For different reasons. One, because Young Buck's verses are so vulnerable.
They really are.
And just like telling the tales of things that happened to him, and
like his uncle and his cousin.
And then like the girl that she was so mad that like she was gonna pull a gun on her I guess, her love interest or her dude that she was fawning over, and then shot herself in the back because
Right.
she
It's
wanted
just
to,
like, just,
like, doing too much.
yeah, man, just dumb. Like, I want to say immature, but I feel like that's not that. It doesn't like fully broach what it is necessarily. Like, it is immaturity, but
It's also hasty decision making. Like, a lot of times we do stuff in the moment and we
yeah,
think it's okay because that's how we feel and we let our emotions take over. And this is one of those songs that definitely talk about the fact being just, hey, take a moment, breathe, think about it before you do whatever it is you plan on doing. Because right now you're not thinking straight, you're frustrated, and just like you, I've definitely crossed over into that field. Actually, let me stop lying. I crossed over to this field a long time ago. I've always been an old man. Like even in my 20s, I was been an old man. So it's just like one of those things where I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm good. And with my peers, like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Nah, I'm good. Like I don't want to do that. But I will honestly say that high note at the end when Chester went off, it gives me chills every single time. Like just the amount of emotion and grit in that, and that chorus right before the end when he says the line, "I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore. This can't be life. I don't want to live anymore." And then knowing what happened to him, I'm just like, "Ooh, this song is different now."
it does. It
Yeah,
really does. And that, I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's what made Chester so great, was he was able to bring, like, you could feel the emotions listening to him sing.
yeah,
But yeah, definitely, I had a similar moment listening pretty much every single time listening to the song, where just, again, like we talked in the past, just listening to, old and new Linkin Park stuff, it just, man, hits you in the gut.
it really does. And I don't know who produced it. It sound like Mike Shinoda produced it, but I haven't. I don't know. I don't have the track list in front of me, so but y'all can find that out online. But yeah, that was one of the ones that I definitely had to replay multiple times. Like not the whole song, but once I get to that bridge and then Chester goes off at the end, I scroll back every time just to hear that note and that grit. Ugh,
And just,
gets me.
again, just showing how well and how talented the people or the whole group of Linkin Park are, to be able to like merge with hip hop
Mm-hmm.
as well as they did.
Exactly. Exactly. So I thought that was fire.
Yeah, I really,
Okay.
really, really like Slow Your Roll.
Oh yeah,
It was probably top 3 for me on the whole album,
for sure,
or
for
the whole
sure.
playlist. I mean,
Yeah, playlist is like an album, technically. Okay, so we're gonna skip a few songs that we've already discussed, and
yep.
jump down to "Swimming Pools Drink," Kendrick Lamar.
So this was another one. This was one of my picks. This was another one that was kind of pretty immediately popped in my head thinking about this topic. Because this was, so most people know this song if you're a fan of Kendrick or whatever, and they know it as like, if you're at a house party and you're about to take shots, this is the song you throw on or something, or it's just, it has that vibe to it. And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely, the first like 3 to 6 times I ever drank in college and like got really drunk because I didn't know my limits. I remember like, so here's a good example. The first time I ever blacked out from drinking too much alcohol, not knowing my limits, I have like a vague memory of like right before I lost consciousness, this was one of the songs playing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the actual song, he's talking about like growing up in a household where everyone was constantly drinking,
Mm-hmm.
and like the name of the song, swimming pools, drinking enough liquor that could like literally fill up a swimming pool, which is like not at all healthy. And he talks about like peer pressure to
Mm-hmm.
drink a lot, and how like, a lot of the times you don't know your limits, especially whenever you're young and dumb and you're trying to just keep up with everyone else, and people are like, oh man, I'll show you how to do it, come over here and take some more. And he has the
Mm-hmm.
whole like battle with his conscience,
Yeah.
whatever, about drinking more. Just as someone who did go through that, kind of found my limits, and then relatively quickly, compared to a lot of people, was like, okay, I don't feel the need, at least, to like be wilding out, getting super drunk, drinking a whole lot, super often. Definitely related to me a good bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah, just interesting that to this day it's still considered like a fun drinking party song when really he's talking about like how messed up that can be if your whole life rotates around drinking and how peer pressure can kind of, set you on a path to do stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it took me a minute to catch this one because like this is like I want to say probably one of the first Kendrick songs I actually like paid attention to when it first came out. It was this one and then the song he did with Drake that sampled Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which it
like
is off of Good Kid, Mad City, which was his first full
yeah,
album.
okay, that's why. Yeah,
Which
so
both of those songs were.
okay, so I just knew pull up, drink, stand out, drink. I was like, yeah, it's definitely a party song. And then it wasn't, I forgot about this song honestly. But once we put it back on the playlist, started listening to it this week. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. And then listened to the lyrics. I was like, yeah, this song hasn't been used in its intention.
No, not at all. It's actually funny you bring up the chorus because, like, if you think about it, like, it kind of says it all there, right? Or it's talking about, after every action you drink, and then in the middle you pass out, and then
Mm-hmm.
you wake up, and then you keep drinking. Like that, I know
Yeah.
people do that when they're partying, boot and rally, nap and rally, whatever, but that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And Kendrick has stated in several interviews he doesn't really. I mean, he does partake in drinks every now and again,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't really do any other drugs, and he's not like super wilding out, getting drunk. At least
Yeah.
anymore. He might have in his younger days, but at this point he's not. So he's definitely saying like, no, this is an unhealthy way to go about this. It's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I remember once I, became of age and like pretty much in my family, I'm known as a goody two shoes, blah, 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 blah.
Me too, to
But
some extent.
yeah, which is not the truth at all. But I'll put all my stuff out there like that.
Plead the
But
fifth.
there you go. So, but I remember one time once I became of age or whatever, and I cracked up in a beer, and my whole family kind of looked at me, was like, "You drink?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, not all the time, but whatever. And I remember I passed out of my uncle's house, and I woke up in the morning. One of my other uncles, not good morning. Hey, how you doing? I got one eye open, like I passed out on the couch or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, here you go, nephew." Had a whole beer. Like, can I get a glass of water first? Like, like, can I sit up? I just woke up. You already got a can in my face. I'm like, leave. So I was like, after that point, I was like, yeah, I'm not going down that path. Yeah, it's okay. Don't get me wrong. Live your life. Do you? I don't judge nobody. But I just know for me, that's those some expensive habits. I'm good.
Yeah. Don't judge anybody, but also don't don't peer pressure other people. No, don't pressure people to do stuff they don't want to do. If someone says they're cool with one drink or they don't want to drink at all, just
Yeah,
don't give them hell for that and try and force them to.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not cool.
It's not cool. And then 9 times out of 10, you want to remember pressuring that person anyway because you too fucked up.
Right.
So it's all everything in moderation. I say. Um, moving on to the next one, which I'm gonna need your help with. He said, she said. So I listened to this one a couple times, and what I'm gathering, English, what I'm gathering from this song is, I want to say not verbal abuse, but more like
It kind of is verbal. It's about a manipulative
gaslighting
boyfriend.
situation.
Yeah, very very much so. I would say that's a form of verbal abuse. The lines like it's all in your head, but keep your ear to the grapevine. Get drunk, but don't be a mess. You need to eat more, but watch
With your
your
waistline.
waistline. Like everything has like a condition behind it, which is
Mm-hmm.
like kind of textbook manipulative like relationship behavior in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. And yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like deep or hidden, but the song itself is very much like an upbeat synth pop type song,
Oh yeah.
and it's full on tackling how like the girl, because the lead singer is singing like from the girl's perspective of how like she can't feel like she can escape from it, doesn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
get out of the situation, which is pretty dark. I'm sure there's a lot of people. Actually, I know there's a lot of people that find themselves in that situation where they're in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or even another type of relationship where the abuse just keeps cycling in whatever form it takes, and then you just kind of feel trapped. You don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of conflicting uh, I'm sorry. To quote the philosopher Little Dicky, it's all these conflicting principles. So
Yes,
so
exactly.
so you say one thing and you do another, and then you tell me it's all in my head. It's all in my head. So when you introduced me a little bit more into the band Churches, this is definitely one of the songs I actually liked from the synthy aspect of it. Like that's the part that gravitated me towards it.
I
So
love
I was
this
like,
whole album too, by the way.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So but yeah, so this is the first one that I liked, and then when you added this to the playlist, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. I like this song, and then I listened to it. I was like, oh, damn it, it's happening again.
This was one where whenever it came out, I definitely would be singing along, and I'm just like in my car, like, he said, and I'm like whipping my head back and forth, and I'm like getting my bad girl attitude. And then like after listening to it a few times, I was like, oh no, he said some terrible things.
Yeah, like he's an asshole.
Yeah, he is not okay.
Yeah, definitely not okay. Speaking of not okay, The Police. Well, hold up. That was a good segue, but bad segue at the same time.
We'll just leave it there. The Police, not okay.
That. Yeah, speaking of not okay, The Police, in multiple iterations of that form. Every breath you take.
Yeah, this was one that I feel like really deserves to be on here because this is like the granddaddy, I feel like, of this whole topic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I sent you the "I'm Missing You" Puff Daddy version. So that's the version I heard first. I had no idea who the Police were, as far as the band or whatever. So, and then the controversy that followed that was a whole other thing. But yeah, it definitely puts me in a certain mindset when I hear when I hear that guitar come in.
People to stop playing this at weddings, bro.
Yeah.
This is not a romantic song about two loving individuals in a committed relationship. This is about some dude who thinks he's in love with someone stalking the hell out of them to, dangerous levels. Like literally every breath you take, I'll be there watching you. Like, but everyone just hears it as like, oh, that's so sweet. You'll be there for every step I take. And it's like, no, bitch, stop. It's scary. Don't fall in love with the stalker. Stop it. No.
Here
after playlist.
Stalking is bad.
Yes. We will firmly take that stance. Stalking is bad.
The more you know.
Yeah, for me, this is a song that comes on because they always, pretty much at work, they're pretty much constantly playing some variation of an 80s hits playlist. And so this song always comes on. And every time it comes on, I'm just like, ugh. This creepy, romantic, in quotes, not romantic song. It just drives me crazy. Because you still, to this day, you see people play it in like, YouTube videos where it's all supposed to be all lovey-dovey and stuff. You see it in weddings. It hurts me to see because it's like, no, the song is terrible.
All right. So for the last one, I'm gonna need you to break this one down for me. So I catch certain parts of the song, but as far as like if there's a deeper or darker tale behind it, I don't know.
There's only really, you gotta really pull up the lyrics and kind of look at them on this one. So I guess we should say what it is, right?
Yeah.
Outkast's Hey Ya, Andre 3000 and Big Boy, and everyone I think mostly remembers this as like the Polaroid picture song. But there's really just like a few lines. One of them that was like the giveaway for me is he literally just not even singing or rapping or anything. Just in the middle of the song, he's like something along the line, probably butchering, but something along the lines like, y'all don't even want to hear me, y'all just want to dance. And then he goes right back into the song. And then he has a couple other lines later on where he's talking about how I guess it's like the second verse where it's like if what they say is nothing is forever, then what makes love the exception? And then he goes on to say, why are we so in denial when we know we're not happy here? And that's whenever he says, y'all don't want to hear me, you just want to dance. Okay. So the song is about like staying. It's a breakup song. It's I don't know if it's borderline a breakup song. It seems to be about like, because he also talks about earlier in the song parents staying together to show them how it. I think a lot of it is just sticking together for like the sake of appearances, even though you're not really like in love with each other anymore, and like what that can do to you and what that is, and how you can like kind of feel like you're trapped, and like you still have, you know, memories and probably some emotion towards the person you're with, but it's just not the same, and you're just living in denial because you've been together for so long and you feel like that's just the right thing to do, is to stay together even though you're not necessarily happy. Yeah. And then he goes on to say, you know, all right, which in the context of that really kind of flips that on its head for me once I started looking at it that way. Of like, it's almost like whenever you're like, you have like a mantra you repeat to yourself to like forcefully shift your mind into a perspective, right? So to me, I always looked at it, once I kind of figured out what the song was about, I've always looked at the all right. It's like him telling himself, it's all right, over and over again.
Okay. I can see that. I definitely didn't catch that right out the bat, but like you said, I pulled up the lyrics, which I just did as well, and listen to you as with your explanation. Yeah, this song is. I can't listen to the song the same now.
But it's very hard to pick up on that because, like, you know, what's cooler than cool? Ice cold. You know, like you have like the like fan callback section. You have the shake it. Like, just it's such a fun sounding song, bro. Like 80% of the song, I feel like was written to distract you from those like 4 lines that actually tell you what it's about.
Yeah. God dang it, Andre. Freaking.
He did it again.
Damn, Andre strikes again. It's honestly, I've never really like took that much of a deep dive. And even when listening to the song, I was like, I gotta find what this song. Like, I caught a couple little nuggets here and there, and then I fell right into the trap of all right. Let's shake it. Like I just kind of just got distracted. And every time the song came out at the end of the playlist, I was like, yeah, that was a fun time. I was like,
I will have to admit, this was one that I did not figure out on my own years ago, probably on Reddit or some, like, I don't know, Facebook post that a bunch of people comment. There was a comment somewhere online where someone was talking about this, which caused me to go back. And it was around the same time where I was like trying to like kind of broaden my horizons. I remember, like, I was like, okay, I've listened, like, I know I like rap, but I've only listened to like these same, you know, 30, 50 songs kind of on repeat for the last couple of years. Let me try and branch out, find something new. And then I was like kind of discovering like, oh, Outkast, Andre 3000, blah, blah, blah. This was one. It took me, I was kind of stuck on what was going to be, because this was my very last pick. And I was kind of stuck on what I was going to do. And I was actually looking at some Tame Impala songs.
Okay.
But most of his like actual like kind of darker, depressing songs kind of sound dark and depressing once you think about it. So I was like, And then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah. So, hey, yeah, such a good example of this.
I had another song I wanted to put on here. And I debated on making a last minute change, but I was like, it's too late in the week and we had a lot of stuff going on. So I was like, I'm just going to stick with the songs that we have. But another good song that has a hidden message in it that it's obvious, but you know, you still got to pay attention to it, is Ignorant Shit by Jay-Z. If you can find this song, it's a bop. The problem was I tried to find it on YouTube Music and it wasn't on there anymore because I guess the American Gangster album is no longer on there. I know, it hurt my feelings. So, but it is on Spotify, and I may tag it on at the end of this on the Spotify playlist for those who want to hear it. But that's a good song. Jay-Z kind of messes with your head, similar to Andre 3000 a little bit. On the song. So
because that one is not what it seems like surface level for sure.
Exactly. So that'll be y'all's homework assignment for the week. So, but anywho, thank you for listening to the show. Don't forget to do all the things, like, follow, share, and subscribe. We're everywhere you listen to podcasts. Our website is
afterplaylist.com.
And we're mainly on Instagram at
afterplaylistpod.
And another time I would have got that right the first time. But no, we just, you know.
In another time.
Yep. So anyway, but yeah, tell us what you think. Have you been pleasantly surprised by a song or unpleasantly surprised by a song?
Unpleasantly surprised might be a better way to put it for some of these.
for some of the songs featured on this playlist or just another song in general, let us know. And again, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.